Welcome to Wealth Wednesday for this Wednesday. My name is Jason Krausert. Come on in, don't be shy, have a seat. We'll be getting started in just a couple minutes here. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know I've talked about before, but it is such an important topic that I'm going to go over it again from a little different angle. But it's about savings and about how critical it is to your financial success. And so I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes. Before I do that, I'm just going to share the broadcast to a couple other groups that I'm in. So I want to make sure that invite a few more people to join. So you can just bear with me for about 30 seconds here if all goes well. But like I said, saving, it's such an important topic. And I know it can seem like today, can be more difficult to do than in the past. I know saving rates across. Here we go. Savings rates across Canada for sure are down in the last few years, and so. With the cost of living going up and the recession and incomes being stagnant or even dropping, sometimes it can be difficult to save, but it's so important. So I just want to make sure that that I kind of impress that on you and that you do what you can to do what you can in that area. So let me just introduce myself quickly here. My name is Jason Krausert. I'm a founder of More Life From Your Money, and I'm a debt counselor and a financial wellness coach. And hi, Donna. And I've been worked with probably close to 1,500 clients one-on-one to move them towards the financial freedom and peace of mind that comes from being debt-free and savings rich. Today, I'm focusing mostly on working with clients in that 45 to 60 range who are looking forward to retirement, but maybe they've got some concerns about not having enough saved, or not being able to pay off their debt in time. And so they want a solid strategy for making that happen, as well as to build their financial wellness in the shorter term. So that's what I'm doing through, hi Donna, through my cash flow planning programs that I offer. And so that's, again, coming back to that savings theme and how to do that and how to make that work for you. So what had me think of this, I mean, obviously, like I said, I talked about it before, but what had it kind of come home this time was I was talking to a client last week. This client, like a lot of people in Alberta where I live, it's an oil and gas country. So this client was working in oil and gas prior to the drop in oil prices and was making a lot of money, well over 100,000 a year. And so what he told me as we were talking about it, like he lost his job as a result of the drop in oil prices. Now he's working again, but at much lower income. And what he told me was that while he was working in oil and gas, he made enough money that he never had to worry about his debt. There was always enough money there. He would just pay whatever he had to pay, and there was always enough money. He never had to worry about it. And so now when he lost his job, and now he's back to work at a lower income. He's trying to, obviously he's managing a debt load that was manageable at 100,000 plus income, but much more difficult to manage at a $60,000, $70,000 income. And so it occurred to me that that in his situation, having that backup savings, having that savings that's available, can make a big difference. Now I've got some other conversations related to that that aren't. I don't want to get too sidetracked or anything, but that's such an important principle, not just in that situation, but in a lot of situations. And savings obviously isn't just for to prevent negative or bad things from happening. No one likes to focus on the negative all the time, but savings has a lot of other goals or a lot of other reasons to save, well beyond the backup. For instance, preparing for unexpected expenses. Okay, that's another version of the backup theme, but I mean, you like to have that money available in case something unexpected happens, whether that be, a positive or a negative. Having savings gives you the opportunity to, hi Vince, gives you the opportunity to take advantage of opportunities that come up, whether that be things like taking a great holiday deal, investments. You hear about a good investment that you want to take advantage of, and you can't do that unless you've got some money available to invest. Starting a business, a lot of people, particularly these days with online businesses, that are so relatively easy to just start your own business. There is still both an amount of money that you need to put into the business to get it started, and you also have to have some money available that if you're going to quit your job to do the business full time, you have to have some money backing you up, and that's about savings. Obviously, like I said before, peace of mind and less stress. For me personally, I know if we've got that cash sitting in the bank, life is just a little lighter. Avoiding debt. Savings can help avoid debt, because if you have savings, you can pay cash for things that you might otherwise put on a credit card, car repairs, or that new water heater or furnace, or whatever it is, a holiday, whatever it is. You can put that on, use savings, pay cash for it, rather than putting on debt and paying it off at 20% interest for the next few years. There's also, where are we here? Yeah, I think, like I suggested there, when you're able to save, I think you'll also feel better about yourself. You feel that you're doing something good for you and your family, and you'll feel better about yourself. And I think it can even become a little addictive, that you'll like savings. You'll like putting that money away every month and seeing that account grow. And that'll just sort of build and snowball, hopefully, on itself. Also, setting good examples for your kids. Setting good financial examples is important to a lot of parents, and they want to. Hi, Sanjeev. And they'll want to make sure their kids have those habits formed as well. And studies have shown that kids want to learn from their parents about finances. They don't want to learn it from school as much. They don't want to learn it online. They want to get that information from their parents. So as parents, when you set that good example, you're helping your children to develop those good habits that will serve them well into the future. A couple other reasons why savings is good. Excuse me. You can do more for friends and family or causes that you support. So you can contribute where you want to contribute. Sorry, Donna, just left a note here. A good addiction, that would be great. Yeah, no kidding. That would something I think a lot of people could, addiction we'd all like. So doing more for friends, family, or causes that you support. Again, yes, you don't need money to contribute. You can contribute your time, and that's invaluable in a lot of cases. But in a lot of cases, people don't have time, or it's something that they can't contribute their time to. For instance, sponsoring kids in Africa or whatever it is. It's hard to, can't always just go to Africa and contribute your time, or volunteer at a local nonprofit. You can do that, but it's also, in a lot of cases, you need to give that money to really provide the on the ground support that these organizations provide. So yes, contribute your time, but it's also useful and necessary sometimes to have the money available as well. What other things? Having fun and just enjoying all that life has to offer. When you've got that extra money set aside, again, it's you just feel a little bit lighter. You have more opportunities to do things, whether it be going to live theater or travel or nice dinners out or whatever it is for you. You just have more opportunity to do those things when you have some money set aside and you don't have to worry about putting it on a credit card. What else we got? Retire early. It's another reason. The earlier you get started savings, the earlier you can retire, the more options you have. So I would recommend getting started early. But even if you don't get started early, get started. Even if you don't get started as early as you'd like, just keep putting that money away. And the more you put away, the earlier you're safe, or the better retirement that you'll have when that time comes. And the last of this list of reasons for saving is freedom. And I think all of these, or a lot of them, point to this as sort of the ultimate goal. I know it is for me. Just having that freedom where you're not constrained and you don't have to be saying, I can't do that because I can't afford it. You can just do what it is that you want to do, to have the experiences that you want to have, and savings is a big part of that. Excuse me. So I'm just going to check the questions here, see if there's any questions coming in. Yeah, Donna, yeah, so many people lost their jobs or got scaled down. And yeah, and I see it every day at work. And it's the economy starting to tick up a little bit, but we're still seeing a lot of that in Alberta. And so, and the common theme is that they didn't have savings, or they blew through their savings to cover their costs. And that's another whole topic. But if you do have financial challenges, I recommend getting support as soon as you can, rather than going through your savings and building up your debt to cover costs in the hope that things will turn around. Talk to a professional, get some advice as soon as you can, so that you can have a strategy for dealing with that change in life circumstance. So that's a different topic, but it is important. So thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, so Don asked the question here. So is the message, when you've got the dough, be sure to set it aside? Yes, but what I would say even is not just wait until you've got the dough. I would say to make a point of it, make it a priority. So in other words, we all have a tendency to spend what we have, and then we wait till the end of the month and see what's left over to put it into a savings account. What I would suggest is do that, reverse that, put it into your budget that you're going to save 10% of your income every month, and that happens automatically, just like any other expense. So it's not an afterthought, it's a priority that happens first. So you absolutely do want to set it aside and make it a priority that it happens first. So thanks for asking, Don, that's great. Hi, Kelly. Okay. Yeah, and Donna makes a good point here. Says you never know which of your friends will start a GoFundMe campaign for something they're dealing with. And it reminds us of a friend of ours, Amanda. Yeah, Amanda had a bit of an accident the other day. Her daughter was mauled by a dog. She was protecting her little brother, and she got the worst of it and had a lot of stitches around her face, and they needed surgery and everything. So Amanda set up a fund, like a crowdfunding campaign to get some money together for her daughter's surgery and medical costs and accommodations and stuff while they're at the hospital and all that sort of thing, and ended up raising about $5,000 for that. So, if you don't have that money available, it's difficult to contribute to that sort of thing. And she put that money together really fast, and that obviously there were some people out there who had some money available that they were able to do, and that happens through savings and setting money aside. So, so thanks, Donna. That's really important. Okay, so now I do want to just touch on a couple of things. There are objections to savings. So I just want to deal with two of those. One is, why would you save when you have debt? Okay, on the surface of it, and it is a good point. If in a typical savings account, you're going to get 1-2% interest if you're you have it in Canada in a tax-free savings account or in an electronic savings account where you get that higher interest. If you're only earning 1 or 2% versus paying 20% on your debt, yeah, the math doesn't really add up. But what I would say is that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. So what I would say is focus on savings until you get at least $1,000 to $2,000 cash sitting in the bank. We all need that cash just for any of these things that I've mentioned. Any of them come up, you want to have that cash available. Once you have that cash available, then you could redirect that monthly amount you've been saving towards your debt. So I would say, yes, if you have a debt load that you're carrying that's becoming a bother or that's a bit of a burden, focus on that once you have a certain amount of cash savings in place. And then, let's say you're contributing 10% of your income towards savings, then once you have that $1,000 to $2,000 saved, maybe take, half of that monthly amount, half of that 10% that you've been saving, put it towards your debt. So now you're only saving 5% of your income and putting the other 5% towards your debt plus the minimums and whatever else you want to put towards it. So you can do both. So I do think there is a role for savings, even when you do carry debt. Excuse me. The second objection is, basically it's saying, you might say, don't save. Why would you save when you're only getting 1 or 2% interest? Why, you want to put that money to work. And so, that talks about maybe starting a business, maybe it talks about investing, whatever it is, you want to put that money to work. And yes, I agree with that. You should always have, like I said, at least a couple $1,000s sitting in cash in a bank account where you have easy access to it. But you also want to make sure that you can, if you have excess money that you've got, put that into something like an investment or whatnot. The thing here is that when we're talking about savings, this was an objection to savings. And so the thing to remember here is that when you're talking about savings, I'm not just talking about having money and sticking it into a bank account. You still have to save if you want to start a business. You still have to save if you want to invest money. It's just putting it in a different form where you're getting more leverage on that savings. So I would agree with the point that you should take your savings and put it to work for you, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't save. You are still saving, you're just doing something different with it. Savings just means you're taking money and diverting it from your regular month-to-month expenses into whatever else you've got your priority set on. So, and that could be investments, that could be starting a new business, that could be, what I like to call an opportunity account, just a bank account set aside where you can have a little money set aside. So, even though you've got debt, even though you may get a low interest rate, I still think savings is important, and you still save, and you can take advantage of opportunities to have that savings grow. So that's a big chunk on the why I think savings is important. Now, I think, if you think about it, how many times have you ever said yourself, man, I wish I didn't have so much money, or man, I wish I hadn't saved so much. How many times have you ever said that to yourself compared to, I could sure use an extra $1,000 right now, or I wish I had started saving 20 years ago, or I wish I had that money available, that I hadn't spent that money somewhere else, so I have it available now, or whatever. You won't regret putting money away, because it will serve you at some point in the future, but you might regret not putting it away. And so I know it can be challenging in some, with the economy in Alberta and in other parts of North America and the world, where it can be challenging, but it is important. It should be a priority, even if it means trimming back on other costs. So it's something important to make a priority in your finances. Now, how do you do that? There's the common methods that I've talked about, and I've pointed to a couple here. One is, automatically save 10% of your income. So take 10% of your income, put it into a separate bank account. It's, automate that. So have that happen automatically. Your check goes into your account on the first of the month. On the second of the month, take 10% or 5% on that check and 5% on your next check, and put it into have your bank send it automatically to a savings account or an investment or whatever it is. What I want to focus on today, however, is something that I haven't talked too much about. I think I've pointed to it before, but I want to call it oversaving. And what comes to mind when I think about this, there's an article that I read a couple days ago that kind of tweaked this. But what it reminds me of is in, excuse me, about, would have been in the 90s, Canada, like a lot of countries, had a sizable budget deficit in the 30 billion plus range per year. And this was becoming a weight on the economy, so it became a priority to pay this off. At that time, the Liberal government had just been elected, and the finance minister, his name was Paul Martin, and he was fiscally conservative. So he was kind of on the right end of the Liberal Party spectrum. And what his strategy was he would overestimate on costs. He would in his budget, in the annual budget, they would tend to put and overestimate what they thought their expenses would be for the country, and they would underestimate what they thought the revenue would be. And so as they go through the year, inevitably what happened is that because they were overestimating the costs, they would underspend, and they were underestimating their revenues, they would make more than what they were projecting. And as a result, there would consistently be a surplus in the budget, which over the course of, I'm not sure the exact time, but I think this Liberal government was in office for about 8 years. By the end of that 8 years, the country was operating on a surplus, having been in a $30+ billion a year deficit prior to that. So I think if they can pay off $30 billion deficit in a year, I think we can do the same with our own budgets. So this is one method for saving. I'm not saying it's the only method or the best method, but it is one method that I do recommend, and that is helpful, particularly in certain circumstances that I'll talk about. But basically, when you're going through your budget, focus on, if in a lot of cases we're not sure what our expenses are. Some of the expenses fluctuate month to month, and so in those cases, it's always best to overestimate. Okay, so assume that you're going to spend more than what you think you will. Or income, again, assume you're going to make less than you think you will. Now, for some of us, if you're on a set salary, that's not really an issue. But there are a lot of people who are self-employed, who make commissions, who work in service industries and get tips and gratuities as a large part of their income, where income fluctuates. Also, if you're on, I think I said commission work or other sales positions where income can go up and down month to month, and sometimes quite significantly. So it's always useful to underestimate what you think you're going to make and overestimate your expenses. So again, what that will do is it will allow you some shimmy room if unexpected things come up, but it'll also hopefully result in there being a surplus in your budget, so that you have that natural savings happening. So something left over at the end of the month, bonus, stick it into an account. Now, this is in addition to the 10% that I would say everyone should be setting aside. So still make that a priority. But when you do this overestimating expenses, underestimating income, there should be some left over at the end of the month as well that will, you can also add to that savings. This also applies when you've got the projects that you're working on. So actually, where I was reminded of this approach is in a home renovation blog about a home renovation, a couple that does home renovations on TV. They host one of those reality shows on doing home renovations. And what they always recommend their clients do is that if they suspect that they're going to cost $10,000 for their renovation, if that's their target and that's what they expect based on what they've projected and what they've researched, then they should add additional to that. So in other words, so aim for 10,000, you expect 10,000, plan for 15. Things come up, schedules go wonky, prices aren't always what you expect. So their message was that there's always extra costs that you need to plan for, so you don't want to end up having to take on more debt in order to account for that extra cost. So same thing in your personal budget. You don't want to have to take on more debt through credit cards or lines of credit to cover a shortfall in your budget. So if you underestimate your budget and overestimate your expenses, you minimize the chance of that happening. Same thing with retirement. If you're planning for retirement, let's say you need to save $1,000 a month to have the retirement that you want. Plan to save maybe $1,100 or $1,200 a month. That way that if there are unexpected things that come up, like maybe a drop in stock market, as your retirement nest egg shrinks for a little while, or maybe inflation's higher than you anticipate, or lifestyle changes, lifestyle decisions you make a change, you've got that little extra amount that you've been building in to make sure that you've got that budget the retirement savings that you want. So it's good, just a little bit of planning ahead to make sure that that you have that that looked after. And as I mentioned, with this kind of this over-saving strategy, the goal is that you're going to have money left over at the end of the month. It's just going to happen naturally. So take that surplus. Again, make sure you've got that $1,000 to $2,000 saved in cash, and then put the rest to work. Put it into some sort of investment that's in alignment with your risk tolerance. That's in alignment with how much risk you're willing to put your money at. Even if you put it into a GIC, a guaranteed investment certificate at 5% interest for 5 years, you're going to get more growth there than you will in a regular savings account where you get maybe 0.5 or 1% interest. So again, put that money to work once you've got that cash set aside. So what I'd recommend doing this month, and what your homework is for the month, is just start saving. It doesn't matter how much. $20 a month. Just take $20. You might find $20 in your coat pocket. Take that. Open a savings account, whether it be a tax-free savings account in Canada, whether it be just a regular savings account, an RRSP in Canada. Just take that $20, stick it into one of those accounts, and make a commitment to do that every month. Just start with $20 a month. And then I think, like I said, you'll find that you'll kind of get a little addicted to it. It'll feel really good. And so you'll want to keep doing that, and you'll want to keep doing more because you'll like to see that account grow. So, if you can do 10% right away, awesome, go for it. But if not, don't let that stop you. Just do what you can to get started. Every little bit helps. So don't give yourself an excuse to not do it because you can't do it. You think you're supposed to do. There's no supposed to here. Just get started. So that's my message every week on these calls. Is just do what you need to do today to move to the next level. Just take the next step, and the next steps after that will become clear. I'm right here every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. The point of all these calls is to not only answer your questions, but to give you tips and insights. Excuse me. Give you tips and insights and some inspiration to move forward in your finances. So you're invited to join my Rock Your Retirement 101 private Facebook group by clicking the link above this video. I'll approve the request right away, and then just click on the notifications tab to let me know how you want to be notified, or let Facebook know how you want to be notified of these broadcasts and other posts that I put up occasionally. And we really want to build a community and get some comments and information out to people. So share these videos with your friends and family if you got some value from it. And like I said, just take the first step, take the next step, and all the rest and the other steps will become visible as you move forward. So have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.